All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have our awesome guest here, Justin Cener. Justin, how you doing today?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks so much for having me. Super excited to talk with you guys, and let's get into it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, you're very welcome. No, we're excited to have you on too to share your wisdom, all your knowledge. We've met a few times at Tai Lopez's house with some retreats and stuff. So you're an awesome guy, and we really we enjoyed a lot of your presentations and stuff. We're like, we got to get Justin on our podcast to share some of his wisdom and some of his knowledge with our audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. It's been a long time coming. I definitely feel the same way with you guys. I think we have a lot in common. So it's cool that we finally get to do this, and we'll definitely do some more stuff after this as well. So it's going to be great.
Awesome. All right, Justin. So we like getting our show started by letting our audience know who our guest is. So if you can tell us just a little bit about your background, possibly like what your story is and who Justin Cener is, that'd be great.
Yeah, totally. So again, my name is Justin Cener, right? I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur, but more than that, I'm just an entrepreneur in general. And it's really been kind of my lifetime passion, really, as far back as I can remember, just trying to do anything entrepreneurial, try to do my own thing and kind of go away from like the more common path that everyone else, or maybe the average type of person wants to take. I always want to do my own thing, and entrepreneurship was always really the big connection for me. And this is kind of I think one of the reasons why we hit it off so well. I'm into fitness as well. I think of it as a competition, right? I see business as competition, and I'm probably the most competitive person that you'll ever meet. I just love competing. I don't care if it's fitness or business or T-shirts or coaching or whatever it is. I love having this competition in there. So entrepreneurship really was the perfect thing for me. And I think in short, that's my story. I just want to be that typical entrepreneur. I want to be trying different things. I want to never be satisfied. We were kind of just talking off camera, right? We got to always constantly moving, constantly trying new things, constantly working. And that's who Justin Cener is, right? Just never settling for the average or the normal thing. I just want to kind of forge my own path, do my own thing, and everything kind of revolves around competition. Going back to that, I really want to, I don't care who it is. Like I want to compare myself to the next big thing, and I want to push myself until I beat that person. I don't care who it is. So.
Gotcha. No, thanks for sharing that too. And like Chris and I can really relate with that as well too. I mean, we just have this competitive nature, just always playing sports when we were younger as well too. And it's just same thing with business. We know that we want to have allies, but at the same time, it is very competitive. And that competitive nature inside of you just always will take over no matter what. It's just hard to control that.
It's true, and the ally thing is interesting. I found that that saying, keep your enemies close, right? I mean, it's totally true in business, and I find that I'm not a big faker a lot of times, but you have to do it in business. I see people that are just direct competitors, sometimes trying to get close to me during specific times, other times trying to distance as far away as possible. But it's really interesting, the competition. Everyone wants to be friendly. There's no doubt about that. But it's very clear that it is a competition. It's really no matter how you want to position it, it's every man for himself, right? And I'm a coach, right? I want to help people. You guys want to help people, but there's still that competition in there, right? And I think there's nothing healthier than that, especially when there's 10 different courses out there or 10 different gurus that people can go to. You got to differentiate yourself, and that's where I think competition is great. I think some people think competition is a negative thing, or being too competitive is a negative. I see it as a positive. It just makes me better. It makes the results of my clients are going to get better. My store's better, etc. So definitely going back to sports as well. Right? I still play in adult leagues, and I'm that guy that's ultra competitive, taking it way too seriously and stuff like that. So it's like I really love. I like letting competition really just take over. So but the ally thing is interesting. I'm definitely working on that. Definitely trying to see them less as direct competitors and more as just kind of a community together, but it's pretty tough. I'll tell you that, it's pretty tough.
It is tough, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the driving force behind, being an expert in the T-shirt business? Why that niche out of everything?
Yeah, it's a funny story, and I mean, really, it's a great example of kind of serendipity and just putting yourself out there to be in the right place. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have no choice but to kind of accept serendipity and put yourself in the right place, put yourself in opportunities. I mean, you guys do that. The Tai thing, when we met the first time, I'm definitely not, a big extrovert. I love doing my own solo thing, but I kind of put myself out there to go and talk to a bigger audience, and that definitely was a huge kind of advantage for me, right, moving forward. But going back to the T-shirts, I really just kind of landed in the right spot. I was just finishing off a startup. I did a sports ticket startup similar to Groupon, basically exactly like Groupon except for discount sports tickets, and I grew it all through Facebook. And I wound up selling it to a competitor here in Hollywood. And as I was working for them, I had all these fan pages that I would market the tickets on. And people started messaging me saying, "Hey, I'll give you $50. Let me post a T-shirt on your page." And I was like, "Okay, $50 for a fan page post." Back then, I was like, "This is great. I don't care." And then they do it over and over and over. And I started figuring out, why are they paying me $50 to post? They're obviously making a lot of money. And I kind of just reverse engineered what they did. So I really just fell into it, right? I had skill with Facebook ads, so it kind of already worked out. Facebook ads definitely the biggest driving factor for T-shirts. But honestly, I didn't go out and find it. It really just kind of fell into my lap, and I was just kind of ready to take an opportunity. It was just that serendipity to where I was in the right place. I had the skill set in there, and literally just kind of smacked me in the face. Like, these guys are making this money. Figure out how to do it, and then go out and do it. And that was the competition part of it. These guys are paying me $50. I'm thinking they're probably making $500, $1,000 every time, otherwise they wouldn't be paying me. And that was that competition drive right there. I had to figure out what they were doing. I had to beat them. I wound up networking with those guys, and those guys are still some of the biggest names in the business. But that's how I got into T-shirts. Really, it literally fell into my lap. And I think that's a great example of probably a lot of people's success. Right? They're not necessarily out there looking for something specifically. They're just looking to have an opportunity. One finds that it kind of just falls into them, and then it's up to you to then take advantage of it, take that opportunity and run, which is what I did. But I definitely didn't look for T-shirts. I had no idea what Teespring was or anything like that until, like I said, it kind of just came to me.
Right. Yeah, and that's great. I actually like how you said that you kind of reverse engineered what they were doing and kind of figured out how you can kind of capitalize on that. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there's really, I'm a big fan of copying things. I don't think there's anything wrong with copying, and I copied Groupon for my startup, and I Living Social copied Groupon, City Deals copied Groupon, then Groupon bought them for $250 million. So I don't think anyone would care to be called a copycat if you make $250 million, So I think copying, what did they say? The greatest form of flattery is imitation, right? I'll copy people all day. I have no worry about that. Now, in the T-shirt business specifically, I got to say this: I don't copy designs pixel for pixel. I think that's kind of unethical. But that's where I draw the line. Anything else, I think copying and imitating online or in business, there's nothing wrong with it. So reverse engineer, copy, steal, whatever you want to call it, right? It works, right? I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by that, thinking they have to create some business that is so life changing and so new. That's oftentimes not the case. In terms of making money, right? Let other people already prove the model, right? And then just kind of piggyback off that.
Exactly. And I think it was Picasso that said that great artists steal, good artists copy. So
that's
you're
right,
spot
that's
on
right.
with that. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. What you said, that I think a lot of entrepreneurs are kind of scared to sit there and model different businesses that are very successful, because they think, well, it's not my own unique type of thought. I didn't sit here and invent it from the ground up. So why should I model it? But in turn, it's like a lot of people are doing that and they're being successful off of it. So it's something definitely to consider.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. It's just not something to be scared of. Not something to be scared of at all. It happens everywhere in every business, right. And we grow up thinking copying and cheating is a bad thing, but I don't see it that way. I mean, stealing insider information, sure, that's illegal or whatever. But if someone's posting on a fan page and you want to copy their product or their ad or their strategy, by all means,
right.
It's up to the entrepreneur to protect their stuff if it's that secret. So I think anything that's out there, definitely go after. And I could give you multiple examples of how that's worked in startups and big businesses where it's been 9-figure sales of businesses that are just complete clones of old businesses. So it's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, definitely. So do you feel like a lot of people can benefit off having an apparel company, and just, does it have to be full-time or can it be part-time? And my next question to that is, you talked about Facebook. So Facebook ads in particular, can you kind of just tell us what the power behind that is when you do have a online t-shirt business?
Yeah, totally. So first part of the question, it doesn't have to be a full-time job. And in fact, if you're running one store, it would be very hard for you to even fill up a full day with work. Right, I think t-shirt print on demand or e-commerce in general, at least the way that I run it, where we're not holding product, we're never having inventory, so we're basically just drop shipping or we're selling print on demand items. Very little risk, right? There's not much risk in terms of building the business. There's not a lot of money that you're going to have to fork out up front. You're not going to have employees or a warehouse or anything like that. So this is a great side hustle, a part-time business, whatever you want to call it. And in fact, when I talk to people who want to make their first money online, I always point them to t-shirts, because it's a business that everyone can understand, right? you guys wearing t-shirts right now, you go in your drawer, you have 150 more t-shirts. I have 200 t-shirts in my drawer. We're going to buy 50 more next year. We all understand e-commerce, right? We all are on Amazon every single day, right? We understand the concepts of these business. We understand the product. So definitely would be very hard to make this a full-time job. I have multiple stores running right now. It's still not a full-time job, right? And sure, there's going to be a learning curve, take a little bit to kind of understand the ins and outs of the business, but it would be impossible for one t-shirt store to be your full-time job. So this is a great secondary stream of revenue, or something that you're really, if you have a full-time job, you want to start figuring out how to transition away from full-time and go online only. This is a great business for that. So I tell my students really on the heavy days, 2 to 3 hours of work, and there should only be 1 to 2 heavy days a week. Otherwise, you're talking about 45 minutes to an hour just managing your sales and your ads. And that kind of brings me into the second part of the question, Facebook ads. When I sell my program and I teach people and I try to get them into my program, I tell them I'm going to teach you all about e-commerce, but what you're really going to learn is all about Facebook ads. That's what's really going to be probably the most important skill in 2017, right? Facebook ads has very quickly surpassed Google ads, right? Not only in terms of being easy and accessible for everyone to use, but in terms of performance and cost. There's no better medium than Facebook ads, right? So if you could understand Facebook ads, I don't care if it's for e-commerce or for coaching or for mentoring or for fitness or for services or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you could master Facebook ads, that's an incredibly valuable skill in 2017 and beyond. And I think Google had a nice run of 10, 15 years of being the number one platform. Facebook's going to have the same, right? And also Facebook, the idea of social advertising or social media advertising, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, I think these kind of strategies will carry over, right? So maybe Facebook isn't the big one in 5 years, maybe Snapchat is. Either way, it's the same idea that social media ads, they perform so much better than your typical Google ads, your banner ads, those kind of Internet 1.0 type ads. So Facebook ads, if I would say learn any skill online, it's got to be Facebook ads right now.
Got it. No, thanks for sharing that. And it's powerful. I mean, the Facebook ads are what's in right now, and that's what's working. So, for the listeners out there, that's a skill that, Justin said that, it's going to be very valuable now and in the future. So go out there and learn some Facebook ads.
Yeah, ASAP.
So I know you were kind of talking a little bit about like students and teaching Facebook ads and everything like that. So you do have an online boot camp, right? A t-shirt boot camp. Can you tell us a little bit more of what that kind of consists of? And really, I mean, what is it about mentoring and coaching others that really just, pretty much gets you up every single day?
Yeah, totally. And I'll tell you that I love the coaching side of the business way more than actually running the business itself in terms of selling t-shirts. And it's totally fun, but it gets a bit redundant after a while, and making money is definitely not boring or redundant, but working with other people and being able to kind of work with people and see their challenges is definitely more intriguing. You say kind of give you that motivation to wake up every day and get to work. Definitely the coaching side of things is just such an interesting part of it, right? And you mentioned my t-shirt boot camp. That's like my main coaching program. That's really my fully inclusive program. I teach everything in there. Obviously, I teach Shopify. I teach t-shirt print on demand. I teach e-commerce, but most importantly, I teach Facebook ads, right? And I'm setting people up to basically understand the strategies that are not only working right now, but also to have the skills that are going to be valuable for them in any online business in the future. So that's what the t-shirt bootcamp is all about. But the real best part about coaching these people is, sure, I get probably maybe 90% of my questions are the same. But that 10% of difference, like the 10% of really unique questions that I'm dealing when I'm dealing with individual like issues, and sometimes it's mindset issues of the student, sometimes it's Facebook ad strategy, sometimes it's, fear or limitation or budget limitation. Like everyone has a different story, and everyone, regardless, there's been people, whether it's me or people that I know or anecdotes that I could tell about people who've gotten past those exact challenges. So it's really interesting to see basically that apart from the skill thing, which people will learn, for the most part, I've noticed that it's all mindset, right? And if I could actually go in there and change people's mindset, it doesn't even matter what I teach. Right? If I can get them in the right mindset, they're going to figure it out on their own. Right? Sure, I'm going to give them, a great lesson. I'll give them all these trainings and videos and the boot camp and all that great stuff. But it's the actual mindset stuff that I talk about that will say, I'm going to make this work no matter what. I'm not going to be scared to make this work. I'm just going to do it. And sure, Justin's going to help me with the training stuff of it. But getting in that mindset of saying, I'm just going to do it. Other people have done it. I'm going to do it as well. That's the winning mindset. And I think a lot of people they truly don't believe that they can do it. And I think that's probably, you guys probably see that yourself in your clients. Like the people that know that they're going to do it are going to do it. The people that know they can't, they're not, right? And you got to get in there and fix their mindset. So that's the interesting thing about coaching, right? It's never redundant. It's never the same thing, right? There are some basic questions that are the same, but really the true things that are going to move the needle, make people money, always different and always very interesting because it's all about the person. So it's also for me personally a great way for me to kind of interact with more people. Like I said, I'm definitely an introvert. It forces me to go out there and do these calls and really figure out people more than just on the surface. Getting inside their kind of psyche. So it's cool. It's definitely an interesting thing. It's a lot of fun. And my T-shirt bootcamp group is a great environment too, of just all these people with kind of like-minded goals. Some are achieving them, some aren't, but they're seeing all this motivation all there nonstop. So mindset, motivation, right? Those are the things that I'm really trying to teach every single day.
Got it. No, well said on that. And I want to ask too, because I think fear is like one of the number one indicator when it comes to coaching clients, and what it does is it paralyzes us, right? So let's say, for example, you have a student that automatically that fear is what's prohibiting him from going forward or trying or taking action. What do you tell that person?
I think the best thing, so two things, and I actually kind of go back to this, I use fitness as an example, really. Number one, results for motivation, right? So let's say for me, let's say I'm dieting or something, right? And I start 3 weeks in, I see something that's actually working, and that makes me 4 or 5, 6 week, I'm actually going to stick to my diet because I saw some results, right? So I really want to set people up, and I teach the program to basically go with the lowest hanging fruit first, strategy called free plus shipping, basically just to make sure that they're getting sales, right? They're going to get sales. They're going to start to feel good about themselves and say, okay, I could actually do this, right? They might not be making tens of thousands of dollars, but they're seeing that people are actually going to buy things from them. So small results to basically build that motivation, right? That's the first thing that I'll do. I just want them to get their first sale because I see that it's like that. That's when they change, right? Even if they get one sale, they didn't make any money. They made $10, right? But they made one sale and they say, now I understand. People will actually buy from me. And that was, I had the same fear. When people were advertising on those pages for the T-shirts, I was like, no one's buying a T-shirt on a Facebook page. It's not going to happen, right? It just, I was limiting myself because I thought this is a waste of my time, right? I'm not going to do this. And I finally just jumped into and tried it and saw that obviously it works, So getting that first result, even if it's small, is all about the motivation. Then on the other side, it's got to be the mindset thing, right? And this is where I'll basically, again, not the same as results, but I'll show other people's results. I'll let them log into my store or another one of my student stores. I'll say, look, this is a person just like you. Here's $10,000 day. Here's a 6-figure month. Here's a $1 million year. These results are attainable. Right. And I think you can get kind of dangerous with screenshots. Right. A lot of people may not be posting very reasonable screenshots, or even they might be posting fake screenshots. Right. But when you're on a one-on-one kind of environment like coaching, and I could actually walk them through and show them this is what this guy did, or this is what I did, this is the money that I made. Right. It's really eye-opening to them. And I think that kind of gets away a little bit of the fear. The biggest thing is definitely making their first sale. Right. Making their first sale, getting them a little bit of momentum to increase that motivation. That's number one. But just showing them that it truly is possible. Right. That these screenshots, these results, people like Tai or people like Gary or any one of these big names, right? They're legitimate, right? It's not just Photoshop. It's not just fake stuff. It's not just renting stuff. It's legitimate. It's real business. It's real results. And I really find that that's, they'll believe me a little bit, but they'll fully believe me once they make that first sale.
Right. And that's what I love that you're teaching, you're coaching clients, is the motivation and the mentality behind it, because Eric and I, that's exactly what we preach. Like, we could sit there and be like, okay, well, we have the quote unquote most optimal training program for you, the most perfect nutrition program for you, and just go out there and just execute it. Right. But it usually doesn't work out like that. You have to really rewire their mindset to believe, see the results, get the motivation, and then that's when it kind of takes off. So I'm really glad that you're actually doing all that stuff with your clients too, because it's huge these days,
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. 100%. I find that, for me, and I wonder if you guys feel the same way, an ideal client for me in terms of coaching is someone that's already had success somewhere else, knowing that they can do something successfully, whether it's that maybe they were an actor in the past, or they were a C-level executive, whatever, right? They did something where they actually proved to themselves that they could succeed. And then to that, when I work with people like that, it's night and day difference, right? It's these people that are, you have 20 tasks that you need to do to get your store live. It's, okay, I did 20, what's the 21st task, right? That's the mindset of the winning person, the successful person that knows that they can do it. The other person that hasn't had success, when they're on step 1 or step 2, you got to really push them and say, you're doing the right thing, right? You're going in the right direction, just keep going, right? So it's, we have to, as coaches, we have to stay on top of people like that. And we have to kind of provide that motivation and those guidelines to say, you're doing the right thing, right? But the people that know that they can do it, those are the guys that are most easily coached. Those are the guys and girls that are going to do 150% effort, and that's what you need to succeed in any business, right? So I think we're on the same page with that for sure. We're probably seeing the same thing, even in different businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the people that have succeeded have already, they understand that it is possible. They have that confidence. They know it's there. They just need to execute and have a game plan going forward. So yeah, spot on with that.
Totally, yeah.
So let's shift gears here. Mentors, masterminds, everything, just investing in yourself and, just your business. Chris and I have been advocating about this for a long time, and we've taken a lot of action doing that, with high-level masterminds, mentors, and it expedites your learning curve. It really does, accelerates things. So why do you feel it's so important for people to invest in these type of things?
Yeah, it's really it's a no-brainer to do it, right? And I think that there's a couple different levels of doing it. You have people that are going to buy courses, buy programs just to feel good about themselves because they bought it, right? And that's definitely the wrong way to go about it. And I have people inside the bootcamp program that have never even logged into the program. And I have a whole email follow-up series to those people to make sure that they get in. And some people still, they'll pay the full cost of admission and they'll never log in. And I talk to a lot of other people and they find the same thing. And the reason is you have people that just they'll pat themselves on the back for saying I invested in myself. Because that's what we all tell them to do, right? So you want to invest in yourself, right? But that's not enough, right? It's to invest in yourself. That's one thing. You got to go in and actually take action on those investments, right? So I think that masterminds really and events are probably the best types of investments that you could make, right? Rather than just a one-off type thing, right? An actual thing where you're going to develop a relationship with either like-minded people in a mastermind, or you're going to have a one-on-one relationship with a coach, right? Those are the things where you can't shy away from. You can't not log in, right? If you go and pay $10,000 to attend an event, sure, I guess you could not attend the event, but I mean, you're not going to do that. You have to go to the event, right? And even if you're in the event, and even if you're sitting there and you don't want to talk to other people, you're still in that environment. You're in that kind of environment where you have multiple people that are similar to you, right? Masterminds are key, right? The masterminds that you guys that we met at is huge, right? All those people that have that, like, there's an energy in that. When we're all there, right, of all these people that are doing big things. And that's super motivating for you. That's totally different than saying, I'm going to buy Justin's bootcamp program and I'm going to pat myself on the back because I spent $1,000 on myself, right? The bootcamp's going to do you zero good if you don't take action on it, and if you don't take action, then it doesn't matter how many courses you buy, right? Getting into masterminds where you're actually going to go and not only pay the cost of admission, but actually put in day-to-day energy in it. And oftentimes that's going to mean just your energy in there to learn. You just have to go and pay attention and be present, right? A lot of people just don't do that, right? But if you don't want to join a mastermind, you have one choice. You have one other option. That's basically do everything else on your own. And those are the people that, it's not that it's impossible. The people that built the masterminds, like my bootcamp program is out there because I did a lot of testing on my own. But like you said, you gotta fast track it, right? A lot of people don't have millions of dollars to spend on Facebook ad testing. They don't have years to basically figure out an online business. They need something that's going to replace their current revenue right now, right? So masterminds are totally great. I'm in the same page. I always say take action, invest in yourself, but don't invest in yourself just to feel good about yourself. Invest in yourself and then go be present. Go to every single event, right? Stay after, ask questions, right? Go through the groups and look at all the other discussions. I mean, that's where the money is, right? Yeah. The videos and training alone it's not enough, right? You need the actual energy. You need the investment to say that I'm going to make this work no matter what, right? I have all these great assets in front of me. I have all these people in the mastermind. I have 10,000 Facebook posts about e-commerce or whatever. They're out there, but no one can go and do them unless it's you. Right, you got to go and put the work in, and I think that's a big misconception with when people buy courses. Right, that's why I think courses, that's why I made my bootcamp group more than just a course. It's also the coaching and the mentoring, right? And that's, like I said earlier, that's probably the more important than the videos, right? They get access to me in the group, they get access to me in the private mastermind, members only areas, all these kind of great stuff where it's more than just the videos. I can push them to say, listen, the videos are great, but here's this, and this to also do. Right, immerse yourself in it. Right, don't just buy the course and look at your credit card bill and say I did something good. That's not enough. Right. That's not enough at all. So masterminds, long story short, masterminds are great, courses are great, but it's more than just buying them. Right, it's actually going and really living inside that business. I don't care what business it is. Like if you want to do T-shirts, you'll live, eat, sleep, breathe T-shirts for the next 6 months. And then you'll have success in it. Buy the course, log in once, and never do it again. I'll guarantee you won't make any money. It's as simple as that. So.
Yeah. No, I'm just glad that you mentioned, man, that you have to be an action taker with all this stuff. Whether you hire like somebody for a coaching day, a mastermind, a boot camp, it doesn't matter. You have to take massive action on it to move the needle. So let's say that let's say there's an entrepreneur that's action-minded and he wants to get into the T-shirt apparel business. What are 2 ninja tips that you would recommend for him or advise to him?
Number one definitely is pick a niche, pick a subject of your T-shirts that you like yourself, right? For me, my first store was cats. Right? I'm a big cat guy. I love cats. For you guys, fitness would be perfect, right? If you like dogs, you make a dog store, right? And the reason is it's going to be, first of all, there's definite hard work in any business, right? But if you get to work with your passion, right, it basically makes even the annoying things a lot more attainable, right? They're a lot easier to do, a lot easier to wake up in the morning, like you said, and go and bang out your 20 things they have to do on that day. If you're, let's say, for example, and this is why I did sports tickets for my first startup, big sports fan, I got to do marketing with, pictures of, Dodgers players and football players and stadiums, and, learn all about tickets and write articles about, cool food at ballparks and stuff that I like. When I get to do T-shirts for cats, I get to look for T-shirt ideas regarding cats. I get to look for cat memes and go to cat fan pages. So really, it's stuff that I would be doing anyway, right? So big ninja tip number one by far is to pick a niche that you like, a niche that you have some real passion in, right? And then tip number two, and this is something that I failed on, is solely focus on that niche, right? You're going to find, especially online, especially when you, and I think this is something to be wary about masterminds, right? You get excited about all these people doing 50 million different things, and you say, okay, I want to do my T-shirts, and I want to do a podcast, and I want to do coaching, and I want to do affiliate marketing, and I also want to do T-shirts on dogs, and also I saw a cool T-shirt on tennis, so I want to do that. Right, you got to have one niche focus, right? Once you master any kind of idea, then by all means scale it out, right? I have multiple stores running, but there's no shot I would tell anyone to have more than one store running until you're making a lot of money on it, right? Have that one focus. So number one, pick a niche that you like. Number two, focus on that niche. Give yourself 2-3 months without any other interruptions, without any other ideas popping into your head, and give it a real honest try, right? And I think that if you try with a niche that you like for 2 to 3 months, you may not succeed, but you're going to give yourself the best chance to succeed that way without being spread too thin, right? So that's number one. Number two, niche. Pick a niche and have it just a ridiculous focus only on that one niche.
Love it, man. Those are awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay,
yeah, sure.
Let's transition now. So Justin, Chris and I are really fascinated by, always learning what our guest's life is like, pretty much from morning to night. So take us through a day of Justin Cener.
Okay. So I got a couple different days. I'll give you the most interesting one first. Okay. So on my coaching days, I typically have coaching calls on 2 days out of the week because we basically have schedules in terms of when we want to be posting our ads, right? So on the coaching days, it's going to be literally nonstop. Okay, 7. I'm basically wake up. I'll be at my computer at 7, maybe 7, 8, 9. I'm doing stuff on Facebook in terms of Facebook ads, right? So basically monitoring my own stores, right? On light days, 45 minutes of work, right? On heavy days, 2-3 hours of work. And basically on Tuesdays, or as my main coaching day, I'm keeping this as light as possible. So by 9 a.m., I'm definitely done with my Facebook ad reporting. Okay? I'm checking how my ads work. Okay? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, coaching calls. Okay, so I'm basically I'm on Skype all day, coaching calls, talking to people nonstop, looking at their ads, et cetera, et cetera. After that, I'm going straight to the gym. Okay, so on another day, basically, I like going to the gym early. I go to the gym at like 10 a.m. lately. Coaching days, I'm later, right? Maybe gym at like 3 o'clock. Come home, and by the way, I'm eating in between. I'm lucky that my wife is feeding me in between, so I can keep my calories up. I'm just in a 25-year dirty bulk from now on. I'm just only bulking out for now. Maybe it's not so dirty, but I'm definitely bulking forever. So I'll eat in between. Right. If I don't have any more coaching calls like on Tuesday, Wednesday, then it's basically going to go right into my Facebook groups. Got to go in there, answer tons of different questions, right? And it's pretty easy for me to do that because I'm seeing the same questions every single day. I have multiple groups, members-only groups, live groups, free groups, etc. Just going through there, answering everything. That's already putting us probably at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Come back, do a little bit of product research on some days, do ad launching on some days, depending on what day it is. A big thing for me is that I have all my days calendared out. And my Tuesdays are the same every single week, and my Wednesdays are the same, and my Thursdays, my Fridays are the same. Sure, some stuff pops up which messes up the calendar and schedule, but I like knowing exactly what I'm going to do when I wake up, and I don't want to wake up and have to figure out what I need to do because that's a waste of time. Like I want to wake up, I have my most energy in the morning. I'll do my best work between 7 and 10 a.m. And I want to do all my heavy things, all my hard things, ASAP right off the bat. So that's probably I guess I typically turn it off at around 8:39. Admittedly, I go to sleep pretty early. I'm definitely asleep by like 10:30 most nights, sometimes 10, and then I just do it again. So depending on what the days are. On Thursdays, looks totally different. On Thursdays, pretty much all e-commerce, no coaching, all launching ads, building ad creative, adding T-shirts to my store, shutting off ads, scaling ads, et cetera, right? And I'm doing this 7 days a week. Even Saturday, Sunday is really just there's not enough time to take the days off, and I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing, right? So Saturdays, I try to give a little bit less. But still, I'm up early. I'm doing the groups, the ads, the product research, pretty much every single day. And that's kind of how a day looks. 4 to 5 meals. Definitely going to the gym. Otherwise, I'm in front of the computer the whole day.
No, that's perfect, man. And I'm so glad, like, it's actually refreshing hearing that, like, I'm not saying it's something that's great to be, like, proud of, to be, like, working 7 days a week or nothing, but if you're an entrepreneur, you're an aspiring entrepreneur, like, we want people to understand that, like, you're not going to sit there and have that mindset where you're just going to get, like, the weekends off when you're starting out or trying to make it. It's one of those things where if you got to get shit done, man, no matter if it's a Saturday, Sunday, you're going to find time to get it done, So I'm just kind of glad you said that. And it was kind of refreshing to hear too, that somebody else is doing it. We're not just the only crazy ones.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are talking about, and Tai Lopez himself says, you don't have to be working, 40 or 80 hours a week as an entrepreneur. And, I think when we get to his level, I'm sure we can potentially make that decision. But, there's to get to that level. And, he'll tell you himself, there are days that he probably worked 20 hours a day, and he has now a massive team looking at every single number that comes through on social media. If you didn't have a team to do that, you're working 20 hours a day looking at those numbers. So There's no reason to shy away from hard work.
Right.
Especially I think, you're working for someone else. It's a lot harder to motivate yourself. And if you work for someone else and they say, come into the office on Saturday, you'd say, hell no. Right? No shot. Right. But when you're working for yourself, it's a lot easier to motivate yourself. Right. Because the more work that you put in, and this is the reason why I became an entrepreneur, the more work that I put in, the direct result I feel. Right? I'm not building someone else's business. I'm not, building the CEO's business. If I work hard on a Saturday morning, or if I don't go out on Saturday night so I can do my business, it's going to only positively affect me in the future. So it's worth it. The opportunity cost is always positive when you're an entrepreneur, even if you do have to do things that you don't want to. Right? It's still worth it in the long run. You're never wasting your time.
Yeah. So Justin, was there ever a time, like in your entrepreneurial journey, where you had a really low point where you're working 7 days a week, things just weren't converting? You're like, shit, like what can I do else, to make things happen? Like where you're almost at that tipping point where you want to throw in the towel. If you had a low point like that, what did you do to kind of reframe your mindset to look at it as a positive thing? And what did you do to get out of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in terms of something more relevant to what I'm doing lately, e-commerce, I kind of actually did what I was referring to what I do with coaching students. And I went out there and this was really when I was first starting. I actually had some pretty immediate success, and then it was purely beginner's luck, And I started to scale the business, and I couldn't make it work. Right, I couldn't make it work, and really the big thing that was probably most people in the business at the time were struggling with was scaling ads. Right, I could make a couple sales, I just couldn't make the big money that everyone was making. Right, and I was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated in terms of how long it was taking, which was leading me to do stupid decisions in terms of spending too much, testing too much without really looking at the data. Right, just trying to get up to those huge numbers because you see everyone else doing it. Right, so what I did was really step back. And this is actually when I bought my first course, my first mentorship with someone, and I really saw exactly. I saw beyond just the screenshots, right? I saw that other people struggle as well, right? So there were definitely a lot of things I could improve in terms of my own skill set, but I feel that the skills weren't what was holding me back. It was the mindset thing, and it was me thinking that these people who are doing $100,000 months are just everything they post. They're just printing money. Every T-shirt is a winner. Every single product is a winner. It wasn't until I really got behind the scenes with other people who were doing it to notice and understand that that's not the case, right? So I was beating myself up over having these bad results where I just basically wasn't understanding that is very common for this business specifically, right? People are, of course, sharing their big successes. No one wants to share their big failures, right? But I quickly understood that the failures are part of it, right? So this was a big mindset thing for me. I definitely, like I said, I improved my skill. I worked with one of the biggest names in the T-shirt business in the early days, really figured out exactly what was working for him and for his other students, and then started applying that for my business. But it didn't change my ad results. It made everything a lot better, though, for me mindset-wise. I understood that if I launch 100 ads, there's no guarantee any of them are going to be successful. But as long as I keep going with this strategy, it's about pushing forward. So I can't tell you that overnight I didn't go from a low point to a high point. That wasn't the case at all. But I definitely went from a mindset of saying, the only way that this is successful is if it makes $100,000. Now I have a different mindset saying I could launch an ad. It could lose me $25, and it could still be so valuable to me because now I understand how to read data from it. I understand how to pull things out of it to make it worth it. So it was a reframing of basically doing the same thing, right? Instead of beating myself up saying, again, the competitive side thing, all these guys are doing good, I'm not doing good, what's wrong with me? Instead, I'm saying, okay, this is normal. How do I use this to basically leapfrog from this stepping stone to the next one without, going crazy, without overspending, without, basically saying I suck? Because that was basically my limitation, right? Skills, yes, definitely 10% of it, 90% of it, my basically mindset, thinking that, thinking I wasn't doing it correctly basing it on really false assumptions of other people. Right. So I think, really just kind of wraps up everything we were talking about with mindset, right? It was so not only for my students, for myself in general. Once I got the right mindset, then everything else became a lot easier to do. Right?
Gotcha.
And on a day-to-day basis, I wasn't hitting the ups and downs, right? Entrepreneurship, roller coaster. Some days you're great. Some days you're feeling terrible, right? And the quicker you could understand and just be okay with that, the quicker you're going to really be able to have that success. So that's kind of my somewhat high to low story, or low to high story.
Gotcha. And practicing patience and just appreciation.
Yeah, definitely. It's frustrating. You see these people that have huge numbers, and there's like that meme that you always see with the iceberg, right? You see like a little tip of the iceberg saying, "Oh, I had such great success," and then you see all the stuff under the water. It's really true. It's totally true. It's just that no one wants to talk about their failures because they can't sell courses off of it, or they can't get coaching from it. So it's really just framing it in the right way. So important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Justin, let's. Are you ready to transition into dynamic rapid questions?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm looking forward to this.
All right. So, who have been some key mentors to your success?
I'll give the easy one first. Tai Lopez, right? Definitely. Tai Lopez, more than just the basic sense, because and you guys see the same thing, when you actually get to work closely with him, you see that he knows every single number that's out there. He knows every single analytic, every single metric that works. And maybe he doesn't know it personally, but his team does. And that's unbelievably valuable, because he's doing such huge numbers. You'd think that when you get to a big scale, it doesn't matter. You're just doing massive volume, right? 10% or 18% or 12% doesn't matter. They know their numbers down to a fraction of a percent, and that's inspiring to me, right? That's inspiring to me to say that it doesn't matter how big you get, you still need to know your numbers, right? So, Tai's the easy answer. I'll give a little different answer. And this is someone that I was working with closely when I was doing my startup, and he was a little advisor to the company. And he had gone through and done other startups, and he failed a lot of times. He raised a lot of money and wasn't able to ever profit on there. And I learned a lot from him, because he was basically a guy that would never, ever, ever stop, right? Especially when you raise money from investors, and you fail. That's not only do you have pressure from the investors, obviously they're upset, but you also, you feel pretty crappy about yourself, especially if you had this guy raised over $100 million over 3 companies, all of them went bankrupt, right? And he's still out there raising money, doing new companies. He doesn't care. He said, you know what, maybe my next one's going to work, right? And to see people take $100 million from, investors and still have the motivation to say, I believe in myself, this next one's going to be the $1 billion idea. That's motivating to me. Yeah. That made me realize that it doesn't matter. If I fail 1,000,000 times, no one's going to remember at all, because if I succeed on that million first time, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all. And to get $100 million of funding, and he got $40 million on his third try, that means people gave him $40 million after he told them that he lost $60 million elsewhere. So that's crazy. That's crazy to me that people can do that. That people can have the confidence in themselves to say, I don't care if I lost $100 million, I'm still going to start this idea because I know it's going to work. So for me, that experience, no shot I'm ever quitting anything now. No shot I'm ever going to feel bad about my own skill set, because I know the next time I could just do a better job.
Yeah. Shit, man, that just pumped me up right now. Thank you for that. So we know you're a cat fanatic. So what sparked the love for cats? Tell us the story behind that.
Yeah, it's something. It's developed into part of my marketing now. I'm the crazy cat guy, but I don't know. I had a cat growing up. Just always loved cats. Always liked how they were kind of doing their own thing and didn't ever care about anyone. Like, we would overly love our cats, and they would just be like, okay, feed me. They don't care. So I'm just intrigued by their personalities. I think that they really just don't care what anyone thinks, and I think that's a super valuable skill to have as an entrepreneur. Super thick skin. I don't care. It doesn't matter what you do. I'm still just doing my own thing. Period. So they, I guess I relate to them a little bit.
That's awesome.
Got it. What are 3 of your daily non-negotiables, and why?
Definitely gym every single day. I feel bad if I don't do it. I do like to force myself to do at least one non-work related thing a day. I also put gym in the work category, even though I do enjoy it. But I try to I really strive to have a hobby, and I try to at least spend an hour on that hobby every single day. It doesn't always happen, right? But I would say that would be a non-negotiable.
So can you give us a quick example of like what one of your hobbies is right now?
Sure, swimming right now.
Okay.
Sounds weird. I'll tell you, I've only just learned how to swim last year, so I'm getting into it now. I have a pool and just trying to really get good at it. I did some open water swimming in the ocean a couple months ago, and it's something that just to push myself to do it. It's I never learned, and I just wanted to learn and kind of figure it out. And there's something I think a little bit competitive as well. I just wanted to make sure that I can learn something and advance in it. So I kind of like doing that. But that's definitely one of my interesting ones that I do. Also, rec sports, probably my biggest hobby. Just always try to play at least every night if possible. So those are my main hobbies. But hobbies are so important, right?
Yeah.
Work can. I used to say that work was my hobby, and I realized that that's not so healthy anymore. I got to have something else that is an actual hobby that isn't just work. Because we love doing what we do. That's why we do it. But it's not the same as a hobby, right? I need something to really shut my brain off of, not be just that 9,000% aggressive trying to make money all the time, right? Or trying to grow my business all the time. I just want to do stuff for fun, and that's why I force myself to do that. So I would say that would be my non-negotiable that that I'm really trying to work on the most.
Gotcha. What are you currently missing right now in your life?
Probably a better work to hobby balance, And I tell everyone I'm young right now. I have a lot of energy. I would kind of want to use it all until I run out of the energy. Because inevitably we're going to get older. We're not going to want to do the same stuff that we have in here. So I don't know if it's a good or bad thing right now, but definitely the the kind of the non-work balance or the non-work things. They're just not as they just don't happen as much as work stuff, and it kind of sucks sometimes. But I think it would be much harder if I didn't like what I was doing. I just think overall, though, even if I don't feel like it's work sometimes, I still need to force myself to do those hobby things just to kind of make my day go a little bit easier.
Yeah, gotcha. So what's one thing that you want to let go of?
A little bit of my competitiveness, just a little bit. I've been doing that a little bit, and but I really want to kind of appreciate things rather than view. Really appreciate wins rather than see them as kind of stepping stones. I think that especially in business, right? You hit your $50,000 month or you hit a 6-figure month and it's great. And then for me, I say, okay, well now I need to hit 7 figures, right? And I think what I'd like to let go of is that ultra competitiveness, and rather just say, I achieved this good goal, and I don't want to sit there and not do any more work to it because that's not me, but I want to really appreciate it more. And I think that would do everything to increase my motivation as well. So probably appreciating smaller wins will give me those bigger wins down the road a little bit easier. So I tell myself that. It's not very easy, but that's what I'd like to drop, the competitiveness, just a little bit.
Cool.
Man, we have a lot of similarities, man. It's just like a lot of similarities. We struggle with that really, really big time. So, yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. All right, so you got the weekend blocked off. You can't think about T-shirts. You can't get on your computer. No swimming, no working out. What do you do for fun during that weekend?
I could probably be outside. Outside for 18 hours. Especially it's getting nice out lately. The past couple of weeks have been great. I've just been trying to go everywhere. Go to just little areas, the cool walking areas in Los Angeles, Chinatown, Koreatown, whatever. Just kind of going. I just love being outside. I moved out here from the East Coast because I needed sunshine, and if it was 90 degrees every single day here, I'd be super happy. So I would definitely be outside. I'm not super into the beach. I get bored, but the beach would be a little bit of it. Then I go to do a hike, and then I'd maybe play a sport, or even just sit there, eat outside, and just like relax and kind of bask in the sun like a cat. That sounds like a good day to me.
Got it. I'm going to throw one little curveball question at you, a bonus one. So we were talking about social media before we started the episode, and I just want to ask, which platform do you dislike the most? Because I think everybody dislikes one.
In terms of being a content producer, I dislike Snapchat the most. It's too much of a commitment. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
There's also no good tools to it. In terms of automating, it's this is another thing we were talking about. I give Tai so much credit. I don't care if he has a team or not. To be in front of the camera every single day, 365 days with 40 different snaps that aren't just BS. Here's what I'm eating. It's like that takes a lot of work and a lot of planning. So Snapchat definitely I don't do a good job on that. I'll tell you. I'll be the first to tell you. I don't do a good job on that. I don't think it's super, super, super important yet for at least for my business. If I was bigger, I think it would be bigger. But for my, I'm still kind of contained inside that e-commerce world. I need people to get into my programs. I need them to click through to my webinars. That's just not happening on Snapchat, right? On Instagram and Facebook, obviously we can drive traffic. On Snapchat, it's more about attention, about just the personality, and I'm really not there yet. Yeah. So I think eventually I'll have to go on Snapchat, but at this point, my energy is probably better spent elsewhere right now.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
All right, Justin. So before we ask the last question, I just want to take a moment to commend you for number one, coming on our podcast. Secondly, just for everything that you're doing, as an entrepreneur, staying focused, having that drive, choosing faith over fear. And, I know we met at Ty's house, we built a great relationship. So I just look forward to connecting with you because we have a lot of things, that are similar and in common, especially after this podcast. So I just want to commend you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. I know that you, we're a little bit closer location-wise. We're definitely going to hang out and kind of nurture this relationship. But like I said, we definitely hit it off when we first met. So I'm more than happy to kind of get on this call. It was a lot of fun, and just kind of discussing with you guys. We definitely have a lot in common. So this will be the start of some, definitely some good stuff.
Absolutely. So what does it mean to Justin Cener to live a dynamic lifestyle?
It's really basically about the ability to do what you want. Right. The ability to do, if you want to focus on business, focus on business. You want to focus on fitness, focus on fitness. You want to focus on hobbies, right? The dynamic side of basically never being bored, right? Having 30, 40, 50 different options, that really works perfectly with an entrepreneur that wants to constantly move forward, right? Always having something different to do, always having options, always being ready for serendipity and any opportunity that arises, just being ready to take it. Whether it's something fun, something business related, something that isn't fun, it doesn't matter. Right, just having all these different things, it just makes for an incredibly exciting life. It makes for an incredibly exciting weeks and days where basically you're just doing high-level things, doing different things that you just wouldn't be if you weren't putting yourself out there. You just would never experience. Right. So to me, dynamic lifestyle is all about having the freedom to do what you want, whether it's work, hobbies, doesn't matter. Just having the freedom to do. It doesn't have to be always fun stuff, but just having the freedom to do different things without being tied down. I think that's the key. If you're going to live a dynamic lifestyle, that is definitely. For me, that is the key that I want to focus on. The ability to do different things, never being bored. And then I think you always live that great life.
Love it. Powerful stuff. So Justin, where can our listeners find your work?
Yeah, definitely. JustinCener.com is my main site, but I want everyone to, anyone who's interested in e-commerce or anything entrepreneurship, Cener Shopify Mastermind on Facebook. It's my free group, totally free. Everyone can join, post as many questions as you want. I answer all the questions. Just a great community for entrepreneurs. I'd love to have you be part of that community just because, like I said, it's a great place for if you're entrepreneurial, you need to be there, right? Even if you don't want to do e-commerce, so many great conversations, so many great, I give tons of value in there, free stuff, free webinars, free trainings. You got to be in there. Cener Shopify Mastermind. You can find me, Justin Cener, on pretty much any of the social networks, but don't even follow me on Snapchat right now. I won't be. I won't be posting it. Instagram, you could check me out there, but definitely that Facebook group, totally free, tons of value in there, and if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be in there.
Gotcha. Okay, guys. So we'll have all those notes in the show notes, and we will definitely leave out the Snapchat. But Justin, once again, I want to say thank you so much for just spending some time with us. This was a great talk, and yeah, keep up the great work.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Eric, Chris, thank you so much. Have a great day, and really appreciate this opportunity.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into our video. We really appreciate it. And before you guys go, make sure to subscribe below to our newsletter so you guys can get our free and new book, The 4 Pillars of Becoming Dynamic Within Fitness.